Hey there, Guy with Datalytyks. And in this video, we'll be featuring a Plutio Automation Session that was held live on Facebook and other social media platforms. This discussion covered topics such as automations and workflows and integrating tools utilizing Zapier and IntegerMap. Are you ready? Jump in and check it out.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Okay. My glasses are shiny today and they're driving me nuts, but other than that, I'm good.
Great to meet you. Thanks for joining.
Sure. Do you want to see what I have accomplished or what I'm trying to do? Is that the best way?
Sure. So this is going to be here in about a minute or so. I'm actually going to go live on Facebook.
Okay.
And a couple other places I'm going to stream this. It's what I've been doing for the past few weeks. So yeah, if you want to, but this is exactly what this session was built for. I haven't had an actually live participation yet, so I'm glad you're able to jump on and get some of this.
Great!
This issues solved with this stuff figured out. Yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah, feel free. I'm about to go live on Facebook and then probably YouTube as well.
Fun.
Yeah. So I saw your submission, and you're trying to use Zapier, is what I saw.
Is IntegerMap better? I'm not married to Zapier.
Okay.
I don't care which one I use.
Yeah, there's a lot of, for me personally, there's a lot of pros and cons. The biggest one is with the clients that I deal with is app availability. So Zapier has, I think, 3,000 some odd apps that are available, both triggers and actions. Whereas IntegerMap, they're approaching 1,000, but the advantage to using IntegerMap over Zapier, and if we can get into it today, I'll show you some of the UI and some of what you can do with IntegerMap.
Right.
It's way more powerful when it comes to a workflow or the actual automation process. Zapier is more, I don't want to say linear, but it's very linear. It's very trigger, do something, do something, end. Whereas IntegerMap, I mean, you can go tons of ways. It's truly like an infinite white space UI of it, but it's very open to whatever you need to do. It's also very capable to do a lot of external or not complicated, I guess, but like it's very simple to do API calls, making HTTP requests, utilizing webhooks. So a lot of the somewhat more complicated or advanced things of IntegerMap are free, starting at their free plan. Like you don't have to have a complicated or even a paid Zapier plan to get some of those things in IntegerMap, which you do in Zapier. Like you have to have a premium subscription to get that app, and you're even limited there too. So
agree.
And the same with paths is another big feature.
Okay.
So paths in Zapier is like the conditional switching.
Okay.
So like, say a condition meets something, you want it to do another chain of actions or events. But in IntegerMap, that's a free out of the box tool. Whereas in Zapier, you have to pay to get paths. You have to get at least the pro plan, and that's like $60 a month to month. So
dang.
I have clients that, I mean, that's not a problem for them, but to some of my other clients, that's not possible. So
right, I understand. What I'm really trying to do now, I did set up something. I think it was taking it from Trello to Plutio, and that went just exactly like advertised. But what I'm really trying to do is I have a form in Plutio that is pretty extensive, but all of the fields are available in some pieces of Plutio. Okay.
Sure.
And I'm trying to get those pieces, the form results, into the various people, company, so forth and so on. The problem that I had with Zapier was I was limited to 4 things. That's it. And I was like, well, what do I do now? Do I just run, and so that's where I got stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey guys, we're live on Facebook here in the Plutio community. We're talking with Annie right now about her automation solution that we'll try to go over. I'm going to be limited on this session to about 45 minutes. So at about 12:45, I'll be cutting it off. But I love the interaction so far. So if you guys are watching and want to jump in, IM me or DM me the question, and I'll get you the link. But jump in here. I see Carlos has jumped in as well. So Annie, if you want to, you can either share your screen if you want to. Again, we are live on Facebook, just by the way. But if you want to, you can show me, or I can help jump into Zapier or even IntegerMap to show you
how about
get started or how you can do that.
Yeah, let me show you the form, and
Sure.
then you can. I'll switch back to you, and you can show me how to do it in IntegerMap or something to that effect. So you know, I've got my form all set up, and it basically comes out looking like something like this. And my clients fill this out, right? And it's got pieces from all aspects. So, of course, this goes into the people part, right? But the business and the website URL goes into the company part.
Right.
And then there's the billing address that goes to the company, platform and username. Those would have to be some sort of I don't keep the passwords in there, by the way, but those would have to be something, maybe a custom field or something like that. I haven't decided
like a text input. Sure.
Yeah. And then terms and conditions is just an agree or disagree. The date and then their signature. This is basically all they have to fill out. Now, it's important to know that, of course, like I said, my clients know, that this is encrypted, and they send me their special key one time, and then the form is deleted. But the rest of this, I want it to be, put into the appropriate places in Plutio. Ideally,
can you show me the editor version of the form real quick?
Sure. Ideally, it would be really great to take that username and password and put it into LastPass, but that's not that important.
Into which platform? If you don't mind, which
LastPass is the password. Yeah.
Okay. I've never heard of it, so I asked. Okay.
Oh, okay. Or 1Password or any type of, that kind of thing. But it's 2 fields. Come on, I can do that manually. That's not going to kill me,
Sure. Okay. So you've got all these. Okay, and these are just text fields, right?
They're all text fields. This one is a drop down, and there's only one option. This is the date field, and this is a signature field, right?
Okay, name, signature. Is there a way you could possibly unpublish and show me the actual?
Yeah, how do I do that?
Up to the right. Nope, right there where it says status and it's green and says published. Down.
Oh, got it. There, got it.
Just drop it to draft. If it's live on your site, it will take it off. So it'll have like a form is not published error message.
There you go. That's what you want to see.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So email, short text. There's actually as well a field that relates to first name, last name as well. You don't have to do just a short text. You can. But if you click that plus button,
full name.
Right there. You see full name? Yeah.
Oh, where's it? There it is. Okay.
So there's that option first, and then if you do the preview, you'll see what it looks like. So scroll down a little bit.
Oh.
So it's got it like that. Yep.
Okay.
Again, you can do the text fields, but
no.
There's that way as well.
Totally fine. Works for me. I got to move you out of the way so I can.
But regardless of that, the text should still pull through into your integration. Have you messed with the API Manager at all in your settings, or have you connected with Zapier?
I have looked at them, and I have connected, yes.
Okay, so we would
Zapier, the problem I have with Zapier is the only features that I had were the email address, the name, phone number, and I think that was about it. Didn't even have a place to put the address by default. So like I said, I'm fine moving to a different platform. I have no problems with that whatsoever.
And was that problem that you were encountering in the destination app that you're trying to go to?
Well, I'm trying to go to this app, the Plutio app.
Okay. So you're going from, you're trying to go from form submission in Plutio.
Yes.
To this other app.
To
And then,
people. There's in people, I think there is a
oh, okay. So you're
company.
just trying to create a person from a form
Yeah,
submission.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
okay. That I understand. You mentioned a different tool earlier, so that's what I was curious
Oh,
about.
I don't know. Okay, my bad.
That's fine. That's
And
fine.
I have it right now to where it creates a project,
Sure.
but all it does is create the name. So, you know,
Okay. Are you looking to utilize, so you're just trying to, with this little process, you're just trying to submit a form, create a person, and then that's it?
well, create a person, uh, create a company, and create a project.
Create a company, create a project. Okay. Do you have a lot of template usage in your
I,
account?
I have a
Okay.
template for projects.
There are some limitations with Zapier and IntegerMap on using a project template. I will tell you that.
Okay.
Uh, there is a different tool that you can use called Pabbly Connect that does allow for some use of templates, the same with Integrately. They're two lesser known but upcoming automation tools.
Right.
Those you can utilize the template. So I can help you get set up with that. It's the same way to set it up between Zapier and IntegerMap. You just have to go through the API Manager and create a new instance.
Okay.
And
That'd be
then
great.
drop it into Pabbly. The one cool thing about Pabbly, though, it may not matter much to you, but the trigger for Plutio inside of Pabbly is actually a webhook. So regardless of what you're doing, it's all going to be instant, which is kind of nice.
Awesome.
Whereas other
Yeah.
tools like Zapier and IntegerMap, um, they have both instant and polling or scheduled triggers. So it can be kind of an advantageous thing to do it that way. There is a trick inside of IntegerMap that you can use just the watch notifications module, which is like an instant catch-all kind of a trigger. So, okay, so if you want to, we can go through that. So we would just need, if you want to do that and get that set up, you can go through Pabbly Connect, and then we can either build it for you live with you, or I can help you get some of the pieces and parts set up. Carlos, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to discuss, but since Annie was first up, I wanted to go through her use case as well. But
I'm in your hands, so whatever you think
yeah,
is
okay.
best, I'm fine.
Let's get you set up with the API Manager first. So if you go down to your settings, the little gear icon on the bottom,
Yep.
there you go.
Okay.
And then scroll all the way down. I like the customization of your tool, by the way, all the purple outlining and the I like that a lot.
My company is called Your Fairy Blog Mother, and purple is the thing.
I like that. I like that a lot. Then we'll go into API Manager, and so yeah, you've got IntegerMap and Zapier. So we'll just create another connection.
Sure.
And then we'll do it's called Pabbly, Pabbly. And
What's that?
You watch Pabb, so
B like boy or D like David?
B as in boy or Bravo, yeah.
Okay.
LY.
Okay.
Connect. And then if you've seen any of my other videos, they're up on YouTube as well. I go through this process extensively, but I typically recommend a naming convention when creating your connections. Okay. Because with this tool, it's actually like an internal tool of Plutio. It's extremely powerful and very, very, very handy. So you can do two things with it. You can set up a connection to be both outgoing and incoming, and you can limit, or what I call scoping, that connection. And right now, what I would recommend for this use case, and you can create dozens of connections. You don't have to do just one for everything or one for one app. Okay. What I would recommend, and it's a little tedious, but I would put in your workspace. So put in Your Fairly Blog Mother, and then hyphen, then the app name. So up in your connection name where it says Pabbly Connect, I would first put in your workspace name.
Okay.
And then hyphen or whatever you want to do, and then Pabbly Connect. And then what this connection is accomplishing. For this, and if I were building this for you, I would then do form response only, or form response creation only, or something similar to that effect. Sure. Because what I'll have you do, and you can delete that first two those first two letters that say Pabbly Connect.
Yep.
This accomplishes a couple of things. It helps you keep track of what workspaces this connection is tied to, if any, because if you're tied to more than one, you can select more than one, and you can select different ones if you're tied to that and have proper permissions. So that's a big factor. Then it tells you what tool this is connected to. So this is going to connect to Pabbly Connect. And then it's going to tell you what it's accomplishing. So this is only going to look at form responses.
Right.
So next, what we're going to do is, you see all the green buttons or the green boxes?
I do.
My method is to deselect all of them or click until they're not green. The form response form response.create, that's the one that we're trying to focus on.
Okay, so how do
you have to click each one?
Good, great.
Yeah, they're working on a way to do all or none. But what this is going to do, and ensure that one's green. But basically, you're turning off all of these other. They're called API endpoints, and what it's going to do is you're going to deselect all of them, and then you're going to put in a webhook when we connect your account to Pabbly. And when this form response.create endpoint is triggered, or the app creates that entity inside of Plutio, it's going to fire off that data to that webhook.
Okay.
So you're essentially creating kind of a process or a workflow, but you're creating that standalone event inside of Plutio, so that whenever a form response is submitted, that's the only thing it does.
Okay, that makes sense.
And again, my other video goes into this at length, probably too much, but just to kind of wrap your head around what this can be used for, you can do anything with this, but it's very powerful with what you can do, because you can also do one that's incoming. Like if you have a connection to work inside of Plutio from a process, you can then descope that same connection, whereas I always recommend having a general connection that can do everything.
Sure. Okay. We're all deselected.
Perfect. So now what we're going to do is you can create the connection, and then we'll drop in the webhook URL once we connect it to Pabbly. And what we need here, once it's created up top, you're going to see a client ID and a client secret.
Right.
When we go into Pabbly, if you don't have an account, you'll have to create one. Yep, Pabbly Connect.
Pabbly Connect?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. It's the same tool. It's like an internal tool of theirs. And if you go to products. If you want to take off your screen share, by all means, to do that.
Yeah, I probably should.
That's fine. Yeah, you can create that account, and then once we get your workflow started inside of Pabbly, you can do it there, and then I'll check while you're doing that to see what Integrately offers.
Sure.
Because if we're using templates, it's an awesome thing to do, and I really love using it, but only a couple of tools are able to do that right now.
Right. Now, which product should I choose in Pabbly? The bundle, or?
I would just try to stay with Connect for now.
Connect,
that's like
the
automations. I mean, they offer a suite of tools, but I
don't need anything with this. Okay, got it. Give me just a second. Okay, gotta confirm my email address. There it is.
And if that tool doesn't suit your needs, it looks like Integrately is able to use templates as well for projects.
Okay.
So again, you have two options. You can use that tool or Integrately. The cool part about Integrately, if you've never seen it, here I can share my screen and show you, and then Facebook as well. It's essentially a one-click automation, is like they're called call to action or their claim to fame, but it's essentially like Zapier. It's a little bit easier to use. It's new and it's growing, so there are some bugs, but the cool part about Integrately that I really like is it has built-in logic. So it's like a built-in Excel if statement, if you've ever seen it, like an if statement. They're prolific in Excel, but it's basically got built-in logic to where you can check a condition and then do something else. So it's kind of like switching or like routing in IntegerMap, but it's built into their automation builder with any account, free or paid. So again, it's pretty awesome to have that. So it's like we can use a template, which is awesome.
So should I sign up with this or with the other or with both?
It's your choice. I'm just showing you both of the tools.
Okay. And
I wasn't sure. I know that you can inside of Pabbly, but I wasn't sure which
I see.
What they offered inside of Integrately, but this would be what it would look like inside of Integrately.
Okay.
Form submission, and you can actually select the form that you want it to trigger off of, which is kind of nice. Zapier does the same.
Yeah, it does. Nice.
So check out which form. So then the trigger would only be limited to that one form, which can also be handy.
Sure.
And this is why I show more than one tool, because you can use Pabbly or you can use Integrately, it seems like, for this.
Okay.
So maybe drop into both and see which one's better. Set up another connection. And in this instance, you wouldn't need to descope or to unselect all of those endpoints for Integrately, because it doesn't matter. In this instance, you're selecting the form that you want it to trigger because the form is submitted endpoint. So they're already pre-building that into the connection of Plutio. So they're already doing that work for you, basically.
Nice.
Yep. So you just create another API Manager instance or connection.
Yep.
And then you would do your connection, set up your form, and then just keep going down. So really 3 steps in this: create your person, create your project. But this is the key here with Integrately and then Pabbly, as well as you can use templates. We can't inside of IntegerMap or Zapier, as far as I last checked. So this is pretty handy if you don't know about it yet, or if you haven't seen it yet.
I'm signing up. Hang on.
But again, it depends on what you want to use for your business, which tool you want. But jump into them, trial them, see which one is better, which one you like.
And either one, I'm pretty much going to have to put in the same client ID and all that, right? So,
yes, each connection that you make inside of Plutio, that API Manager connection, you're going to have, it's going to be a unique client ID and client secret.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So would you want to go through with Pabbly or let's see?
Since I've already got the connection to Pabbly, let's go that way. You want to do that?
Okay. Sure, that's fine.
You want to see my screen? Is that?
Yeah, if you're ready to go, we can start.
I am ready to go.
Setting up the workflow.
Let me turn it off. Okay. All right. Get over here. And I think you have to stop sharing yours.
There we go.
Okay. All right. Now we got it.
Perfect.
So here I am in the API Manager, and I have Pabbly signed up and ready to go. I haven't done anything other than that.
Sure. You're in the Pabbly Connect screen. Awesome. So if you scroll down and go to the Connect. And then Access Now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
sorry.
You just X out of it. It's fine. No problem.
Okay.
And then you'll go to the workflows or create a new workflow up top.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
And just do something like Plutio Form submission, whatever you want to name it. You can rename it later, but
sure.
Let you know.
Okay.
Yep. So choose a trigger. Now, again, this is the tricky part, what I was discussing earlier. They don't have a pre-built Plutio trigger like with most other apps. So what we're going to do is use the webhook method right here. So webhook.
All right.
Yep.
Got it.
And now what it's going to do is it's going to generate this webhook this URL. So go ahead and copy that.
Okay.
And then go back into Pabbly. I'm sorry, Plutio. Go back to Plutio.
Don't confuse me with the facts, man. Okay.
All right. And so then in this connection, you're going to drop that webhook URL right into that right there. Yep.
Okay.
And then toggle it on.
All right.
There we go. So now what this is going to do is whenever a form response is created, which is a form submission is the layman's terms or the non-technical terms, but it's a form response.create endpoint. So whenever that happens inside of Plutio, it's going to trigger that and send that data to that webhook.
Okay.
So Pabbly is going to pick up on that webhook, and then we're going to do our operation with it. So what I always recommend when using webhooks and this method where you're not selecting a form and you're not like selecting the app to use, I always recommend using filters. Okay. So this next step that we're going to do is create a filter. So click that, choose an action, and it's a pre-built dev tool. So filter, the second one down. And what we're going to do is once you send some test data through that webhook, you'll see what I'm talking about. But we need to do two things. One, if you in the absolute, but two, if you need to really like limit this workflow. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that whatever comes through this webhook is actually a form response, regardless. It's always a double check that I do. It's always something that I always recommend. You set it up correctly in Plutio, but you always want to make sure that before you start creating people and creating projects and doing all this stuff inside your workflow, that it's the correct thing. So what you want to do is you're not going to have any fields to map it to or to check in the dropdown, but in this space next to it where it says equal to, the space next to it.
Oh, over here. Got it.
Type in all in lowercase form-response dot create. What we're going to do is once we send the test form through this, there's going to be a field that populates through this called method through the webhook data. So the method needs to be equal to form response.create. That's just, again, a double check to make sure. What you can also do, if you click that plus button, this is adding an and statement. So it has to be equal to that and this next thing. What I'm also going to recommend is putting in a form filter. So filtering on a specific form. You don't have to do that, but if you have more than one form, again, it's going to send all of the submissions this way.
Right.
So if you need to do, if you need to only handle one form in this process, then we need to limit this as well. So what, again, you'll see here is the form ID field, and it'll populate through when we send a test form.
Okay.
Equal to your form ID. How you can get that is back in Plutio. If you go to the forms area, wherever your form lives.
Sure.
And then take the form that you need that we're using in this process, and then go to the actions up top. And there's two ways to get this ID. Okay. You can either go embed. So if you embed the form, you'll see the iframe HTML that pops up. And again, this ID is located in two places, either here, right before this last double quote mark where it says embed hyphen or /form /
all that garbage.
That number is your form ID.
Okay.
So copy that.
So
that's one place to get it if you X out of that screen. The other place is up in the URL bar of your browser. See where it says plutio.com/forms. This is the same thing. So you can get it from two places.
Okay.
Go back into Pabbly. Yep. And then again, drop that value right in here.
Okay.
And there's nothing to map to yet, but when we send that test form through, you'll see the method field and you'll also see the form ID field. Again, for your purpose, that does two things. It limits the form response coming down through, and we're also narrowing that tunnel so that just that form comes through this process. Because again, if you have multiple forms that do multiple things, you don't want every single form to create a person in a project.
No, you're
essentially.
right.
If you do, that's fine, but
No.
for this process, yeah, you can save and send a test request. It's not really going to do anything, but as
Okay.
long as it's saved, it's fine.
All right.
If you click now the plus button down below, then you'll do your actual actions of the workflow, which is in Plutio. Now this is where we're going to hook up the connection.
Okay. So do I go to Plutio or stay here?
Nope, you can drop down. Yep, and grab the Plutio app.
Okay.
You can type it into.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Here it is. Okay, cool.
Perfect. Now you can select the action. So we're going to do, from what I gather, create person.
Sure.
Right there. And then connect.
And that's where I get this information.
You got it. Yep. So let's go back to your API Manager settings.
Yeah, right.
Down below.
Got it.
And then again, you can tell it's that one. So
right
there. So jump into that one. And then, yeah, that one, copy paste for both of those values.
Yep. I have too many tabs open.
I see you're on mute. Do you have any questions for us? I know you're live with us. If you have any questions, chime in as we're walking through this.
Okay. Do I need to do anything?
So your business identifier is your subdomain for Plutio. If you have white label, that's not your white label ID, like portal at or consulting at. It's your business name Plutio.com. So whatever the non-white labeled version of your subdomain is, that's what that has to be.
And that's what that is. Okay, got it.
So then save.
Okay, connected.
Perfect. So now you've just created the connection to Plutio. So now you can go through and when you do that submission test, that's when you'll start populating and mapping fields into this from your form.
Okay. That was Grammarly acting up.
So then what you can do too in the next action. So if you scroll down a bit, so that's your first action. And then your next one is going to be create a project.
Right.
Grab Plutio again.
Right. Sometimes I hate my Mac.
That's fine.
Rarely, but believe me, sometimes I do. Now I can't see again. I got to move you out of the way. All right, there we go. Down here. Plutio, got it.
Perfect. And then again, you'll select
create project.
Create project.
Now, what happens if there's already a project named this?
What I would also recommend in this process, I just wanted to show you the kind of salient things of what you need to do to get this working.
Sure.
What I would also recommend before both the create person and create project is do a search or do a check to make sure that they don't already exist.
Okay.
You can do that above the create person and then above the create project. So it'd be like an inline filter that if they already exist, then don't do the rest of
inline filter. I'm just going to put it there as a, I'm with you.
That's fine. So what I would do first, right after your trigger, is, and then that first filter again is the one that we're checking for the form response in the form. Sure. I would then do a search of Plutio to make sure that they don't exist.
Okay.
And if they don't exist, create the person, do another search of the project. If the project doesn't exist, filter, create project. So it's like a 7 or 8 step workflow. But again, that's going to reduce, if not completely eliminate, all of your duplicates.
Right.
You don't need to do this if you don't want to.
Oh,
it's already, if you drop down in that new credentials where it says up there.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Right
it's
here.
already got your saved credentials if you do.
Oh.
Right there. Yep.
All right. Perfect.
You got it. And you can rename that too.
Sure.
So instead of Plutio number 1, you can have like your subdomain Plutio account or whatever you want to do.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, that's what I would recommend. And we can take this offline after the session to set up. But this is the basic idea of your workflow. So form is submitted, and then do, create person, create project. And again, if you scroll down here, I believe this is where you can get into the the template. Does it show you the fields where you can create,
Yeah.
use a template?
Yeah,
Right,
this is
template
my
ID
template.
right there. Yep.
Yeah.
So that template ID, and that again, it pings and pulls from your Plutio account your specific template. What you can also do, taking it a step further, is just give you some inspiration. You can use the then switch action up top, like before this. So if you want to create different projects based on different inputs, like if they submit a form and they want, like, I don't know what your specific market is, but if you do like web design, but if they need SEO stuff done, if they select that in the form or the proposal, you can then switch it and go a different way.
And awesome.
You got it. Yeah. So it would automatically do that for you with a little bit of built-in logic.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah. And then if you click the plus button above that, or anywhere really.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you do choose action. And then right there, the router, that's what accomplishes that.
I gotcha. And then it's a conditional to where if this happens, go do this, and
you got
go to this one. Okay,
that's
perfect.
the same thing inside of IntegerMap. It's called a router. It just looks different, but it does the same thing.
Perfect. I think I can run with this. I've got the basic concepts, and it makes perfect
next
sense.
Steps after this is I would also recommend, and what you have to do to get your mappable fields, publish your form, drop a live one through with some test data. That way, when you go to check this workflow, you'll see that it's got your fields going through the form, and then you can manipulate it, whatever you need to do, map all your stuff, and then again, run a full end-to-end test, publish your form, submit one, and then check it to make sure the person was created and that the project was created appropriately. Yeah, and I would also preface this process too. Webhooks take a minute or two for the web services to talk and the APIs to talk. So when a form is submitted, don't be alarmed if the person in the project aren't created instantly. It does take it a minute or two for them to talk.
Understood. Yeah. I appreciate this. This has been wonderful.
Absolutely.
Absolutely fabulous. And I'm going to go watch your other videos.
Okay. Feel free. Okay. So yeah, we can take this offline and I can really get you set up with this to get you up and running if you need it. But otherwise, let me know your feedback or how it goes.
I will.
We have a few more minutes. Carlos, do you have any feedback or questions you want to drop in? He's in the comments. Do we have any suggestions to sync Plutio time tracking with another external service? When you say sync Plutio time tracking, you can take your screen share up to if you'd like, or whatever you'd like to do, by the way. Focus on me. When you, and maybe you can respond to it in the chat, Carlos, but when you say time tracking, are you saying like invoicing or timesheeting with, say, QuickBooks or some other service? Is that what you're getting at? Okay, task time tracking is like toggle. Okay, so we can do that. Let me jump into my.
Well, you're doing that. Let me ask you. So if it has a webhook capabilities, you can basically do anything you want.
Yeah. Okay. Pretty much anywhere. Yep.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, webhooking is awesome. It's powerful and it's universal. Pretty much any tool utilizes webhooks, so you can talk with webhooks from apps like mobile apps or PWAs or web apps. I mean, the capabilities are almost endless. Okay, so let's say time tracking. Let me share my screen. And Carlos, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you speaking about like a project, and then when you want to do like a timesheet, and then when you do like the timer, like down here, is this what you're getting at when you talk about that? Or And if it's capable to do that here in Plutio, it would all relate to what we can do inside of these endpoints. So when let's see, task, time track. So in time track, so like if, okay, I want to sync task time with another service is toggle or clockify. Okay, so would you want to use a specific tool that we can investigate like Zapier or IntegerMap? And what I would be looking at is these endpoints right here, the time track.create, edit, or remove. So if they add a new time tracking or like new time sheeting, then you could kick off a process to do that as well. So if we jump into IntegerMap, and this is IntegerMap, by the way, Annie, this is what it looks like. Or those on Facebook who haven't seen it before. So we can go into here and create a new one. So let's say you're trying to connect. So you put toggle. Let's do, there we go. So if we have a new, I don't know if it's going to be pre-built. We may just have to do this one. This is the catch-all watch notifications. It's kind of like a webhook. And we need to do, what would you be looking to do inside of toggle, for example, to do like a new task or time entry, just a time entry, I'm assuming? So this is how you create a time entry. Okay, so you would use that. And again, this is IntegerMap. What I'm doing here is fully free. You can do this with their free plan, their free account. So there's no limitation to that. You would just connect your thing, your description, and your start. I haven't used toggle with IntegerMap, but I would assume that this is what you're looking to do. But what you can do with Plutio is you could use the watch notifications. You'll connect your account. And then what you can do is, let's say this one. And then inside of your account, connection. And then the same thing I walked through with Annie, you would do this. Now, what you could do, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because depending on your usage of Plutio, you could run up your operations pretty quickly. But you could leave this all blank or unselected or open or whatever. That's not what I wanted. Here. Drop it in there. That's what an IntegerMap webhook looks like. Turn it on. And then what you'd be looking for in this watch notifications trigger is this time track.create. So you could do this right here. And then in your filter, you could just do time entry only or some other. And then the method is going to be time-track.create. So there, a simple trigger, filter it to that one endpoint, and then again create that time entry in toggle. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure what Clockify does, and you could, I assume, do the same thing. It doesn't look like you can. Oh, I guess there's an add time entry, so you can add one here as well. It won't let me get past the connection, but it looks like it is possible with the pre-built connections and app availability of the actions. Yep. And so really there's two ways you can do this, again, with working with webhooks, at least with IntegerMap. This is a great way to use the Plutio connection, and the watch notifications one is great. But if you can't, or if there's another process you're doing that you need to use webhooks, there's just a default webhooks app too. So right here, it's called just webhooks, and you can just do a custom one, drag the drag the little icon around it to drop into your trigger app. Connect it. And then, yeah, so you can do it that way. And then with this generated webhook, you would just grab it to your clipboard. You have to create one. So just a general, whatever webhook. And it would generate that same type of webhook URL and just drop it in here versus using your pre-built connection with Plutio. So like this one uses your, and it's down here, watch notifications. It uses your pre-built connection, and then it just generates that hook for you, and you can drop it in. So 2 methods, and yeah, this is exactly what you'd be looking at. But again, I always recommend a filter. At least that's the best way to do this. Perfect. Okay. Other than that, are there any other questions that you guys had, or I don't really see any comments on Facebook yet, so it doesn't look like there's any feedback yet. I hope it was beneficial for you guys. I'm needing to step off here in a few minutes, but again, the capabilities are nearly endless. They're nearly there's really nothing you can't do with Plutio or with one of these integration tools. In the future, once they roll out automations as a feature inside of Plutio, we'll do the series that I'm doing now. Will incorporate tools like this, because again, there's no other way to connect. There's no other way to connect, Plutio with another outside tool except through an API integration or some kind of connection integration. So you have to use a tool like this. But this series is probably going to be taken over by the internal automations, because that's really going to amplify people's use of Plutio. It's really going to skyrocket it to the next level, because we'll be doing things like Annie's use case of take a form, drop it into a person in a project. It's really going to take that internally, and we don't even need to worry about things like IntegerMap or Plutio if you're staying in the tool. But once that drops, then we'll be moving that series to that kind of a use case for a while. But again, the connection to IntegerMap and Zapier and Plutio, even any other tool that somebody has, like if you have another tool like some of the other automation tools that are either heftier or bigger, like PySync, or if you have things like N8N or other automation tools, or even like Power Automate is a Microsoft product, you can do all of that through webhooking, which is again somewhat universal. So if you need to automate stuff with webhooks, it's all right here. Just drop it into your connection and you can do dang near anything. So I hope it was beneficial for you guys. Carlos, thanks for dropping in and getting your question to me. I hope I answered it effectively and well. Again, connect with me if you want. We can go over your process. Same with you, Annie. Thanks for jumping in and showing me your need, your use case, what you want to do with it. And I hope that this session was beneficial for you guys. And it'll be posted again here on the community, and then also on YouTube as well, to showcase what we went over. So thanks again, and we'll be talking in the next couple of weeks. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to come back often for new solutions or new inspiration. See you soon.